I recently read the book Relentless by Tim Grover, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what being relentless is in your real estate business. Being relentless means constantly working for the result, not just when the stakes are high. And so if you're able to do that, it's next level stuff. This book was a great microcosm. I'm a sports guy. I'm super competitive. And there's a great balance between relentless and clutch. Being clutch is in that last minute. Relentless is every single minute, performing at the optimal, pace and doing what you have to do to move the needle. And so this book is a really great example of how professional basketball players and Tim Grover as a, elite trainer for the Jordans and the Kobes and the Dwayne Wades of the world go into it. So I want to talk a little bit about that, talk about what I took from it and how it relates to the real estate business. And if you're interested in being the GOAT, I definitely recommend the read. What's up, guys? Coach Kane, Real Estate Agent Playbook. As you know, I'm a basketball guy, so this book really relates, but it does have a major crossover into the real estate world and the business world from, my love of basketball as I used to coach high school basketball. So super excited, really the basis of where the Real Estate Agent Playbook came from. So I love this book and I want to share kind of my takeaways from the book and help you advance your real estate business. And if you have the aspirations to be the GOAT, are you relentless or are you clutch? As always, please like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on the podcast, share with your favorite real estate agent, but let's get into it. In the book, it's very, a common theme. He talks about cleaners, closers, and coolers. And he really, straight up, just like the title says in this video, is he relates, the cleaners to janitors, right? They're relentlessly working. They do the same thing. They take extra things on. They take them, they constantly perform. And if they don't, that's, chaos, right? Janitors at the old high school I worked at, I still remember their names. I still remember our conversations because they're an intricate piece of the puzzle that kind of make everything work in a school. And they sometimes get credit and sometimes they don't. And so it's a really cool microcosm, but cleaners are essentially the elite, the relentless piece of it. Next, we have the closers, and there's some great closers in the world that just don't have that next level, that extra juice. Some people call LeBron out as a closer, not a cleaner, because he's always playing second fiddle or has a Robin to his success story. And granted, that's the game, that's what he's doing. Maybe it's a time period. However, these guys that are closers are not necessarily on the cleaner level because they can close out games. It's game to game, but you never know. But it's really about the work ethic and the diligence they put into it, the expectations they have of others. And then there's coolers, right? Maybe there's every McDonald's has to have the employees, right? The people that definitely aren't cut out to manage people. They're just show up, they do their work, and that's kind of it. These are the role players in the basketball world, right? Maybe they're in there just to give the star player a 3-minute breather and they're back out. They just hold the ship. They do what it is. So cleaners, closers, and coolers is a definite mindset when it comes to real estate agents. Are you a cleaner? Are you constantly moving the needle forward, doing the little things in order to produce a result that maybe is sometimes unrecognized, right? And so that's where that is. Are you holding others accountable? Are you moving the needle, so to speak, every single second in all your actions and all you do? Or are you a closer? Are you just somebody that shows up to the transaction, you get that close, you're great in sales and you execute that way? Awesome. We need those people as well. Or are you just kind of an admin type and, nothing against admin types. However, if you want to be at the top of your game, you can't constantly be a buyer's agent, right? Because you're constantly splitting your salary and doing that kind of stuff. You're getting experience, but how are you going to move up? Or do you want to? Are you comfortable right here making that salary as an employee in your real estate business? That's that. And if you really start to map out your real estate journey and your career with these in mind, maybe you're a closer right now and you need that experience. You need that extra drive. Maybe you needed mindset training and get into the personal development space to become a cleaner in your real estate business. That's something that's absolutely possible. And you can move from, closer to cleaner. However, You just have to make sure that the mindset's right and that you're doing the little things to move that needle forward. And when you're thinking about this, and in the book, they ask one question and they ask you, are you able to be the best in the world at what you're doing? Or are you content where you're at? And that's kind of that. As a top producing real estate agent still to this day, I'm constantly looking at the competition. I'm constantly looking at, what other people are doing and how can I put that into my business? Great, that's more of a closer mentality. However, I'm over here and I'm like leveling up, right? If there's not stuff going on over here, I'm still trying to move the needle forward, going to other industries, putting in the time and the dedicated effort to move the needle forward any way possible. Reaching the top is an absolute accomplishment. That's great. However, the fight is just the beginning of your life as a closer. If you're at the top and people are going to be gunning for you, you constantly have to level up. You constantly have to put more hours in the gym, so to speak, or constantly have to put more hours into your business. They don't have to be every hour, right? You can have other buckets of life, family, and, maybe building another business over here. But you constantly have to be in that fight because everybody's gunning for you when you're at the top. And it's not lonely at the top, right? When other people come up to the top, you're great. But that's where real advancement happens, is when you're going back and forth in that competition. Maybe that's just me, but that competition and the friendly competition is definitely something. But understand that once you reach the top, you're very close to just being a closer or just being, a cooler after, everybody's trying to level up, because you're setting that standard and your goal as a cleaner is to raise that standard every single time out. And so, we get caught up in the business, and as entrepreneurs, we're always trying to level up. You must understand that every single day you're getting closer to being lost, right? Your wife's losing you a little bit, your husband's losing you a little bit, your kids are losing you a little bit. It's important that we enhance the time that we have here. And if you're always trying to enhance that time is a finite measure. And it's not, it's not figuratively, but Ed Mylett used this kind of piece. Ed Mylett is not the author of Relentless, but it really brought home this enhancing, right? And as cleaners, you're always enhancing the process. You're always leveling up. You're always, finding a better way to do something. You're always finding, a different move or a different shot to add to your, tool bag. And so that's where, enhancing that time you have left is the ultimate goal, and ultimately will allow you to live this relentless, cleaner lifestyle. And as we referenced the GOAT conversation, if you're off on the farm thinking about why I'm talking about GOATs, greatest of all time, and sports is a perfect example of this, right? If you're, at the top and you've reached the top and you're not always constantly leveling up, you're going to get replaced, and eventually you'll be out of that GOAT conversation. Why is there 5 people in the NBA ever in the history of the NBA that are in the GOAT conversation? You got LeBron and Wilt and Kareem and Kobe, but there's not much more than I just named. And so as you kind of go through that lifestyle, you have to constantly be improving and improving. If you win an NBA championship and a finals MVP, and then that's the top, you're good to go, and you don't get to work, in the coming weeks in the off season, you're not going to repeat. You're not going to be a 2-time NBA champion. You're not going to be a 2-time NBA finals MVP. And so with that said, it's very important to continue to level up and enhance your game every single day. I think about Michael Jordan, obviously is the GOAT. There's no comparison there. But when he, was in basketball, he actually left, for 3 years. Maybe he felt like he was at the top of his game. He went and tried baseball, right? He struggled in baseball because he wasn't the best. He never made it out of AA. But when he came back, his game was completely different. He was 3 years older. The game had changed a little bit. That's when he developed, a fadeaway and, the turnaround jumper that, is so iconic. And his mid-range game got so much better than the young guy who was just a freak athlete and can dunk on anybody he wanted, was a pretty good shooter, but wasn't, part of his mid-range game wasn't as ideal as it was, when he was 3 years older, when he re-entered and, then ascended to the top again. He changed, he made those adjustments. And as you go, that's important to enhance every single piece of your game and adjust and make those adjustments, especially in the real estate market, right? We are, reliant on what the market is giving us. And so how are you changing your game? Every time that market changes, Are you leveling up? Are you providing better information and better knowledge? And are you using your previous experience to make this experience better for your people? And so that's kind of the relentless mindset. And this book I thought was absolutely phenomenal. So if you're interested, definitely go purchase it on Amazon. But it definitely brings the gamification and the sports aspect to the real estate industry in my mind. And I just wanted to make that connection for you today. So as always, go get you another win today. If you have any questions, please reach out. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the podcast, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.